I have to ask you a couple of questions. What can you tell me about vampires?
They exist.
Blade.
First, he faced their gods. Then, he battled their demons. But all that was only the beginning.
He's come back.
Vampire Final Solution.
You can't win this war.
Welcome to the Marvel Cinematic University. I am your professor, Mario Rivera, and joining me is the marvelous doctoral student, Sly Cone MC, who has a bachelor's in the MCU, a master's in the multiverse, and is going for their dissertation in Marvel Studies. Sly, how are you doing today?
I am doing wonderful today. Here to talk with you about the iconic Blade Trinity.
That's right. That's right. We are, of course, moving in to the final installment of the Blade series, of course, Blade Trinity, which I'm excited for because very much so, this is our first completed story of this character. This is sort of where this character ends and is possibly entering now the Marvel Cinematic Universe, which is really cool. Mm-hmm. But will it be the last we see of this version of Blade? Who knows at this point? We're in a weird country right now, especially after some trailers. So we'll see. We'll see how far they go with that. But let's go ahead and get right on into it. Of course, moving into history class, which, of course, we are talking about Blade Trinity, which came out in 2004. It is, of course, directed by David S. Goyer, who, of course, written the last two Blades. This is his first directorial debut, and of course, he's also been responsible for many movies, specifically The Dark Knight and such. This movie is in the part of the New Line Cinema series, which of course is responsible for, Lord of the Rings for the most part, until Amazon bought the rights. So there's that. Or no, they didn't even buy the rights, actually. I heard that the rights are actually on sale for the movie, but they have TV rights.
They're like acquired. I don't know.
I don't know.
It's too complicated.
It's a thing. It's a thing. But of course, this movie stars Wesley Snipes, Christopherson. I didn't even write his first name. I just knew that there was two names. I just put Christopherson. Parker Posey, Ryan Reynolds, Dominic Purcell, Jessica Biel, Paul Levesque, a.k.a. Triple H, and many more. There's quite a few other people in this movie, too.
The amount of pure star power in this movie. People who are so iconic in, like, the Marvel Universe,
yes.
Right?
Yeah.
To see when fucking Ryan Reynolds popped up, I lost it. When... one of my notes is just me, all caps. Dracula is Mick Rory.
Yes.
From the DCCW.
He is.
And the actor that plays the Koenig brothers, I was just losing it. But every time a new person popped up, I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe they're in this movie.
Yeah, this is actually a fun surprise because there are some people here that I didn't remember were like sort of background characters, like the brother to Parker Posey, the one that is sort of like took over Ryan Reynolds. Like her brother is like a famous. I didn't put him on this list, but he's an actor I've seen in so many things, and he plays deliciously evil people. So it was cool to just sort of see him part of the ensemble bad guys. So that was real cool. Where can you stream this? Well, originally you could have streamed this on HBO Max, but it wasn't there when we went to go watch it. Instead, I think I found it on, was it Peacock? I think it's on Peacock.
Yeah.
So you can watch it for free with ads on Peacock. It's not, the movie's not censored. It's just the fact that they just cut in specific places where they insert ads. But that's where you can currently find it. I think you can find all three Blade films there. So if you do want to just shot them through, you can. So enjoy that. But Sly, what can you tell us about the plot of Blade 3?
It is a plot, I'll tell you that much. So, Blade Trinity. Blade finds himself alone, surrounded by enemies, fighting an uphill battle with the Vampire Nation, and now humans. He joins forces with a group of vampire hunters who call themselves the Night Stalkers. The vampire nation awakens the king of vampires, Dracula, from his slumber with the intentions of using his primitive blood to become daywalkers. On the other side is Blade and his team, manifesting a virus that could wipe out the vampire race once and for all. In the end, the two sides will collide and only one will come out victorious. A battle between the ultimate vampire who never knew defeat, facing off the greatest vampire slayer.
I'm actually gonna go ahead and applaud that one. That was actually well written by this
That's a
person.
great plot.
Yeah, it got every detail in, no superfluous bullshit. Just sort of just got all the nice details. Thank you, Jay, from IMDb, who whenever you wrote that, you currently are my favorite in terms of writing a description of what this movie is and all the places. Of course, comic book characters in this film is Blade and the Night Stalkers, which is a concept that was from the comics. Hannibal King, who Ryan Reynolds plays, is a character in there, but he's a vampire. So it's a little different, but still, there's some concept of that in this movie. Abigail, though, I think is a made-up character because Whisker was a made-up character, and then I think they just sort of just did it for the continuity. And I think it makes sense, for all purposes. They sort of just retconned, which I thought there was something wrong with the story about how could his kid be alive, because I thought that she was dead, but this makes sense because this was something happened after that. It seems like so. Okay, so that all totally makes sense. So now we're at the moment where we get to talk about, did this movie hold up? Let's actually talk about at the Stanley Seminar. Sly, what do you think of Blade Trinity?
I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I know we've watched better movies for this show, but I think this is the one I had the most fun with. And there are some things that do not hold up. There are some questionable, choices made that we, need to acknowledge. But I just had such a blast. This movie was just so fun for me. Every moment had its hooks in me, and I was just along for the ride.
No, I can somewhat agree. Watching it, I was afraid going into it, knowing that I thought it was always the weakest one out of the three. However, with years pass and time pass by, and for the people involved in the actual movie, just watching them is honestly part of the fun. Seeing Ryan Reynolds be Ryan Reynolds, this is peak Ryan Reynolds, don't get me wrong. But also seeing other people on the opposite side, on the bad guys. Like, I love Triple H in this. He was so goofy, just being this hulking baby man with little Pomeranian dogs. And then you get Parker Posey, who is just having fun doing this weird vampire thing and looks fantastic, by the way. Just wanted to bring that up. But also, and like you said, I've fallen in love with Dominic Purcell, who of course is Dracula in this because of oh my god, because of the the CW shows. And so for him to be Dracula, I'm just loving everything that he's doing. Even when he goes into that Dracula shop, or what I heard, Gothic Hot Topic, was what a blast. Is it a perfect movie? No. I mean, it's ridiculous beyond ridiculous, but at the end of the day, it's just what am I here for? I'm here to have vampires get killed and have fun, and I'm happy that on both sides there are people that I could honestly have fun with. So,
can we just get the parts that don't hold up out of the way so that I can just gush about this movie?
Go ahead.
So,
I think I have an idea.
Of course, this is a mid-2000s movie. There's some issues.
Yeah.
I know that at the time, fruitcake it's technically a slur. It made me laugh, and I'm queer, so I'm allowed to say it's okay. I understand that at the time was definitely not cool.
Yeah.
But we're so far removed from that, and that's something that's not really in common vernacular to be weaponized against queer people as much anymore. So it made me laugh. But it's there. It's a problem. And then also we have a blind character played by a sighted actor, which if you're gonna have a blind character, hire a blind actor. There's so many talented blind actors out there. It's not hard. But I will say, on that note, the blind joke that they made was really funny. It was really well written. She said something along the lines of like, for the sighted people, hear show and tell or whatever. And that was great. That was an awesome line. I loved it. Um so yeah, like there's problems here, but none of them too egregious or outrageous to like pull me out of my pure enjoyment of this film.
What are some of the aspects that made you like sort of really have a good time with this one? Was it the characters? Because I mean, what was it that was like, yeah, this is the most fun I'm having so far?
It was just like we got to see so much more from the characters we already knew
Mhm.
and get to flesh out more about their stories. The action was great. They once again changed the vampire death effect,
Yes.
but this is probably my favorite. I mean, obviously it's most advanced like CGI
Yeah.
that we've seen so far, but it was so sparky. It was really fun. Um, and then also, it's just so humorous. Like, yes, it was like dark and gritty, but I mean, you have Ryan Reynolds. Like, you can't make it too serious if you have Ryan Reynolds in your cast.
No, not at all, for sure. Yeah, I agree with that. I think this is definitely the most, even in terms of the look of the movie, it's the most light and out of the two. Where I feel
Uh-huh.
like the first the first two had a very distinctive color palette to them, where it was very much a bluish to like a white light, to then two, which was like more orangey, yellowy. This one I feel definitely was like sort of like in between, like a sort of silver, where it was just sort of
Mhm.
like metallic. And I think it's because of the locations that they're in. They're pretty much only two, which I find shocking in this movie. There's like two locations and then a rooftop scene for the most part. But ultimately, yeah, I think this movie for me, and this is just, I think the movie still suffers in terms of like the plot just is just kind of nonsensical. There's I don't know, but it's okay. Like again, I'm really just there to do it. I do find that this movie felt cheaper for some reason, I guess, in comparison to watching the other two, and I think that took away from some things. But the other thing I will say is that I wish that I felt like I had more time with Blade. But then Blade doesn't really say much in any of the movies, so it's like, what am I even saying? There's even less people that
Right.
he's partied with in this one than it was in the last one, and still he doesn't get enough. Doesn't do much anything. So really, him just being a presence is all I need, and I think I got that pretty much overall through the movie. Um, yeah.
I will say, like, I'm very high on this movie,
Mhm,
but one is definitely like the definitive.
mhm,
Like, it doesn't hold a candle to Blade. Um, and like, just like when I'm thinking about how much I enjoyed this movie and how much I enjoyed these characters, it's because of the foundation we had.
yeah.
Like, we have these dark, gritty, serious, dramatic movies, and for them to wrap up this series with something more lighthearted and a
Mhm,
little brighter colors, it just like it made me feel like I went on a journey with these characters, and it
yeah.
was just such a great wrap up to this story for me.
Yeah, and I agree. And I mean, and given like I feel like the other plots were about some other things that were sublined or subtext in the movie, and this one just straight up, it's Blade versus Dracula. That's the movie, and I think that's fun.
Mhm.
I think that's totally okay because at the end of the day, you just want to see these characters do cool stuff, and I think you do. Even if it has that early 2000s CG, specifically the light bow and arrow thing that she has, where it just like it's
Yeah.
rough, but it's
It's
cool.
something.
It's interesting. And then I want to see all of their different technology because that shotgun that he had looked cool. It's like 5 barrels on it and shoots literally everything. But yeah, like just having them have fun, having their own like different things that they do. Like clearly, like she loves doing the bow and arrow and doing like hand to hand combat while listening to an MP3 player. And then you got Ryan Reynolds, who just will not shut the hell up, but he's using every gun that he possibly has in his pockets. Um, yeah, I overall I think that this is a movie that you turn your brain off, but that's because it's just you just want to see cool stuff happen, and I think that's totally fine. this was never a series where I'm like, I'm looking for Shakespearean opera. I'm looking for vampire
Right.
killing. I want to see how cool. I will. Go ahead. You have something to say?
Yeah, I was just gonna say on the topic of Abigail, it reminds me of the final thing that kind of like the one thing that almost took me out of this movie is the amount of time she's wearing like a crop top. I'm
Sure.
like, you're literally going to fight vampires in a battle, and Blade's in like full armor,
Yeah.
and she's here in a crop top. Like that was a bit of bit taking me out there. There was the like one. She had like 3 outfits, and one was like a long sleeve shirt, and I was like, okay, we're getting there. And then she went back to the like cropped shirt, and I was
Yeah.
like,
I did like that at one point she had an outfit where it was like a vest thing, but then to pull out the bow, she had to unzip her arms and pull out the guns, and then do that. And I was like, that's interesting. I'm very
I
curious.
loved that outfit. Yeah.
I wonder if it's to stop the restrict. Like, I'm curious what the like process of like when they do that. Maybe it's possibly like so that way there's no friction on it. But overall, yeah, I thought that was cool. Like I like Abigail a lot. She doesn't get a lot to do in this movie, other than just be quiet for most of it. Like she's obviously the opposite of Ryan Reynolds in a lot of ways. She doesn't have a whole lot of like. Other than just be a killer, right? Other than being killing vampires, she doesn't do much else other than having one scene remembering about her father, which I thought actually was, and I don't know if I can confirm this or not. I thought that scene was just taken straight out of Blade 1 because it looked very similar to a scene in Blade 1 where he's like talking to
I thought so.
Karen, right? But the dialogue makes it sound like that it's him talking. So I thought that was a little weird. I need to look up that scene again because that looked way too close to the Blade 1, but
I thought they just ripped it straight out of Blade 1. At least the dialogue, it felt really similar.
And I'm good. I was thinking how they had like Christopherson's like time on the set because spoilers, obviously, this is the second time he's died, but he comes back in the middle of the movie as a disguised, sexy Dracula, which by the way, I have to point out, every time he transforms, he never changes clothes. He just changes form because you see the lawyer and he has the sexy clothes on. I'm like, what the hell? And then he transforms into him, but yeah.
I love that for him. Yeah, I really liked Abigail mostly for her action scenes.
Yes.
Like everything they did with her was so cool. I thought the action in this movie was some of the most fun we've seen, especially with we start at the beginning, we don't even know who she is yet, and we have that fight in the subway station with the garlic baby and
Yes.
the knife boots. That was just so fun. All of the action is just so engaging in this movie.
Yeah, I had fun. I love the concept that they're shooting arrows. Just like, you can't shoot around corners. She's like, I can. And she's like, does it. And I'm like, that's so
Yeah.
cool. I will say, I'm going to say that I like this action better than Blade 2 because as much as I'm like, oh, I'm a huge wrestling fan, a lot of the action in that is like CGI. Like, we're going to do, I'm running up a thing and doing a power slam, or I'm doing this and doing that. And it doesn't hold up today. But I have an actual wrestler in the movie and he does a power slam and I'm like, yes. So I'm going to say I prefer very much the action going on in here, specifically for sure.
The whole breakout scene was just incredible. I think I was like in this movie, and then, he's there and he's getting rescued, but kind of reluctantly. And just like that whole progression is what like really hooked me. And I was like, oh, I'm loving this movie.
I do like the beginning premise, which of course is it's the same thing that we've seen, I believe, in the last 2 Blade movies, where it's opening fight scene or opening setup to a fight scene, and we're getting him doing cool action. He's doing this cool chase, but I love the fact that it was a twist on it where it's like, oh, he accidentally killed a human in broad daylight, or not broad daylight, in broad, for people to see. And
Out
it was
in the
recorded
open.
out in the open. That's the right term. And it's recorded and it's put on the internet. Like, he's now famous for being this sort of person murdering people. And he murders a human, which is familiar. And now it's actual humans fighting against him. And that brings on the fact that, we get the loss of Whistler again, which to me was sad because I really like that character and I wish that he was in the movie more. But at the same time, it really was just to introduce the fact that there's another group of people out there that are also doing this. What did you think of the Night Stalkers overall and their operation? I do have a fun trivia fact about the base that I want to read here really quick.
At the beginning, I was like, this feels a little shoehorned in.
Sure.
And then eventually I was like, they're fun. Who cares?
Yeah.
But I kind of wish there was more tidbits of them sprinkled throughout the other movies, so it wasn't quite as a shock when they come in. But I mean, I can't fault the other movies for not setting that up until here, but it just felt a little shoehorned into me.
Yeah, it would have been cool if like Whistler was like, yeah, I have some friends, but we never see them, but they keep like supplying with stuff. And then this is the movie where it's like, oh, this is how they're getting all their equipment, like how he explains things. Like so far we think that Whistler's making everything, but I do like the idea that maybe he's in collaboration with a cell of these people. But ultimately it's just sort of like, they just show up because there is some Deus Ex thing that needs to happen, but that's fine. The piece of trivia I did want to say though is that the actual location for their base, the trivia here is the old barge that the Night Stalkers use as their lair was originally a floating McDonald's restaurant built for the Expo in '86, held in Vancouver. So
that is incredible.
Yes. So this their lair is literally a McDonald's, which makes me quite laugh. The other piece of news, the other piece of trivia, I guess, is the bad guy's lair, that big hallway with like all the pillars and stuff like that. That's actually a set for one of the Stargate TV shows. So
nice.
Yeah, so they literally are just borrowing TV show stuffs and putting it in here, which, hey, Vancouver, right? It's going to have a majority of TV show stuff hidden all throughout it.
I also loved all the little like fun set design pieces that were littered through, like the Dracula comic.
Yes.
Was so cool to see. Like they're holding like an actual Dracula comic in the movie. That was
Marvel Comics Group was on the top of it. Yeah. That is, I think that is the actual Dracula comic from the comics. Who I guess I didn't write him as a comic book character because he's such an ambiguous character. But yeah, Dracula is in the MCU. There's obviously fake Moon Knight memes that I keep finding him where he apparently owes him money, which is pretty funny. But yeah, Dracula is a character. But this is obviously their version of that character. There's another thing I had written down here. What was it? I will get to it. But basically, overall, this is the director, the writer of the last two movies becoming the director. Overall, what did you think of the direction of the movie? I think this is really the only movie he's done. I'm gonna triple check on that, but I don't know. What do you feel like this felt like a first time's outing of a movie, or?
I wouldn't have known it was the first time director just by me watching it. But when I'm thinking about it, there's little bits and pieces you can see that, aren't as polished as you would see from a more experienced director. But I think what's most important in directing is keeping the spirit and the heart of the project in mind. And he's worked on the past two. He knows the story, he knows the characters, and I think that really shines through. And like it doesn't matter so much about the other like more technical pieces because you have such a strong heart and center to the story that the rest is just bonus.
No, for sure. It looks like he has directed some movies after that, but I believe it's only like 3 here. Let's see here. Yeah, The Unborn and The Invisible, which I've never seen either of them. So I'm very curious about that. But he's obviously written 1,000 things, including the Blade TV show, which is canon to this universe. But we will probably not be talking about that unless people wants to pay us to watch a TV show. Otherwise, we're focusing on the movies. But yeah,
if we get a Patreon, we'll do that.
Yeah, if we get a Patreon, we'll definitely do that. Was there any other major things that you want to talk about before we move on to the rest of the show?
The only other big like action moment we haven't talked about is the sword fight at the end,
Oh yes,
which
yes,
was just we've seen so much different fighting styles from Blade,
Mhm.
and obviously like he's a very talented like stunt fighter,
Yeah,
right? And we've seen so many different styles. But seeing him sword fighting was just so fun, and like Wesley Snipes is so competent at everything. It feels like just
yes.
everything he does looks great. But yeah, I just like that sword fight was so fucking cool.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan of Wesley Snipes in terms of his action, specifically this movie, but also in Demolition Man, which is one of my favorite movies of all time. Uh, to see him actually fight against someone that is confident and comparable to him on a sort of sword level, we haven't really gotten that in the last two ones. I think there was a little bit of like a back and forth with Deacon Frost in the first one, but this was finally like
Little
a little bit. But honestly, that was just so he could cut him in half and he would reform and just be bad, just being badass, you know. And I just remember that move so much. Yeah,
yeah.
it's so good. Sorry, that movie's so iconic. I love Deacon Frost so damn much. I really wish they just brought him back for even like a little, like a random cameo, even if it was like a memory or something. I miss him so much. But of course, there's some other things I do want to bring up that you might not be aware of on this set. This set had a lot of problems, specifically that Wesley Snipes was actually very hard to work with because he thought that bringing in the Night Stalkers was their back end way of how they could do more movies without him. And so there would be a Night Stalkers series and going forward. And so he was apparently, and he was a producer, and they were trying to, they were just basically not keeping him in with some information. And it sounds like, yeah, there was a lot of strife on sets. It's been heavily documented by conversations with Patton Oswalt, who plays their sort of tech guy who makes all the weapons. By the way, cute little Easter egg, he's wearing a 4 on his shirt, symbolizing, of course, the Fantastic Four, which came out the year after, which was kind of cool. Even though New Line Cinema had nothing to do with it, he's just such a nerd that they allowed him to wear a Fantastic Four t-shirt. So that's kind of cool.
Awesome.
But yeah, he's told stories, and there was also eventually some racial epithets thrown at each other. But to be fair, I don't think Cracker's a racial epithet, but whatever. Depending on who you ask, I guess. But yes, this movie overall for me, it's pretty fun. I still enjoy watching it. If I was having a Blade night, I would still watch this. I would still be totally down to see Blade Trinity. So yeah. Let's go ahead and start moving on to our next class. We're going to go right into drama class, where we get to act out some of our favorite scenes. We have a couple scenes here that are pretty fun. There's a lot of Ryan Reynolds things that we could obviously do, but we're not Ryan Reynolds, and I can't say I cannot say it with confidence without feeling bad about the things he says. So these are probably the most tame out of them all, but we're gonna have some fun. The
I
first,
think we only have one Ryan Reynolds quote in here.
yeah, I think that's the one that you put. I think that is the one you put.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and go for the first one. Do you want to be Blade or do you want to be the Doctor?
I want to be the Doctor.
Okay.
We didn't talk about the Doctor. I loved him.
He was
He's
fun.
so-
He only has a scene and a half, but I do love that he has like 2 minutes with Blade, and then he walks us like he is psychotic, like he is messed up. But yes,
Alright, so the Doctor, he's interrogating Blade basically, and
Yeah.
he's like, "Do you know what day it is? How about the president? You know who that is? Who's in the White House right now?"
an asshole.
And this is 2004, so that's what,
That's
Bush, right?
He's talking about Bush. Still applies. Somehow still applies.
You know what still applies. I feel like no matter when you watch this movie, you can relate a little bit to that line. Especially the previous couple years.
Yes, for sure.
Um,
Do you want to be Dracula or do you want to be Blade?
oh, I want to be Drake.
Okay.
Sorry, you're Blade today.
I should have
Blade.
glasses on. I feel bad.
Ready to die?
I was born ready, motherfucker.
Motherfucker. I like that.
You don't
Just
get a
like the sense of wonder.
Yes, because this is we didn't even talk about really about the goth scene, but yeah, you're right. Like there is. Well, hold on, we're back in the seminar for a second. Yes, Drake's like going through the world and seeing these things, and then he goes to a Dracula hot topic, and all the things that they have in there is hilarious. I love that they have Count Dracula cereal, which I love. I drink it every Halloween. But the specifically the Dracula appendage that you see, very,
that's
very,
a great moment.
very graphic. But yeah, so we didn't talk about Dracula. What are your thoughts on Dracula? Pretty much.
He's amazing. I love the actor. I mean, I loved him as Vic Roy. I loved him in fucking Prison Break. Like,
Yes.
he's just so fun, and it's capturing this like very ethereal presence of a very old, knowledgeable being, with also a sense of wonder of how the world has changed over, the like thousands of years he's been out of it. And I just think that balance is so fun and makes for such an interesting antagonist. And like I was kind of rooting for him the whole time just because I love him so much. But yeah, no, Dracula's great. I enjoyed every minute of him.
I think I wish I had more with him, but yeah, I agree. Every time I see him on
Mhm.
screen, I was having fun, and a lot of it is because at the time I didn't really know him as an actor, and I only got what I got. But knowing what he can do and what he's capable of, I want every second of him to be more on the screen. So, and there's even a way where I feel like if they were not the ones that found him, and maybe he was brought back by another group of people and they hopefully talked to him, I just felt like he could have been a good guy. But that's just me, even though he's very hardcore old school. But I don't know. It's just because I want him to be a good guy.
It was a really interesting
was honorable.
dichotomy between him
Yeah.
and like the council we've seen previously,
Yes.
who are so much about like rah purism, vampires, old blood families, whatever. And then to have Dracula come in and be like, nah, y'all are like diluted, like not pure of blood. It was just like such a wonderful fuck you to. I'm sorry, it's snowing outside.
That's okay.
Very hard. But like I just thought it was a wonderful like fu to the previous antagonist.
I agree. I do agree. If I had to list my antagonists right now, I am still Deacon Frost because I just love that man. Dracula's right there, and then I would go to Commodus at the bottom. But still, all three I think are pretty fun. So for sure. Okay, let's finish up drama class here. I believe you have this. What was the context of their waging this quote again?
So it's Whistler talking to Blade right before they blow up the base, and he's showing the footage of the TV, and Blade's like, whatever, like I'm doing my job, and Whistler goes, they're waging a goddamn PR campaign, and as a person who works in social media and like PR relations, that just cracked me up. It was so well delivered.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Such an iconic moment.
That is pretty iconic. And then the one Hannibal King line that we do have. Do you want to go for it?
Take it away.
Okay. I'll try to do my best Ryan Reynolds. Hold on, give me 1 second. Okay. I'm sorry. I ate a lot of sugar today. God.
So good.
Love him. Love him so much. That includes drama class. Going into music room, where of course soundtracks of this era are known for their bangers, right? So was there any songs that hold up in this movie that are considered bangers today? Now, I personally didn't think much of the soundtrack, but there are a few tracks that I do like. There, of course, is it's sort of like after the attack of Drake attacking the guys in the office, and after he catches the baby, Kuchiku, there's a song that like overlays into there's sort of this like person speaking that then goes into the credits I actually found really, really solid. But overall, go ahead.
I was just gonna say it doesn't have as many like iconic pieces,
Yeah.
but I really enjoyed how this movie played with music, with the soundtracks, the like playlists during the fight scenes. I think this was the best use of music in general that we've seen so far.
Yes.
And like the specific songs don't stand out as much as like a hero per se,
Yeah.
but I thought the way they used music in this film was really well done, and like the whole time I was just rocking out to the playlist.
Now, do you know who did the score actually?
I did not see
So
who did the score.
the score who did this, which I thought blew my mind, is the same guy who did Game of Thrones and Westworld. Ryden Dijuwadi.
Ramin. I love him. Oh my god.
He did Game of Thrones, Iron Man, and yes.
Didn't he just do Eternals?
I believe he did do he did do
Right?
Eternals. Yeah, he did Eternals
I
as
love
well.
him. He's so talented. Everything he does is iconic. No wonder I had so much fun with the music of this movie.
Yes, of course. He is a protege of Hans Zimmer, and he also co-collaborated with this the soundtrack with RZA from the Wu-Tang Clan, and RZA also probably helped with all those rap influences that are heavily within the soundtrack here as well. So yeah, pretty kind of cool to see him go from this movie to being, like, in my opinion, some of the most iconic stuff ever, and continuously kills it. So good on him. He's also, I thought he was a lot younger. He's about 47 right now. So yeah, we have so many more years for him to compose amazing things. So I wanted to at least bring that
I've
up.
loved everything he's done that I've seen so far. Just such incredible mastery of different styles and genres to really fit the emotion of specific scenes. And so many times we see composers, especially when they're doing like big projects like a long-standing series or a long film, they kind of have one vibe all the way through, and he really plays with different genres and different chord progressions in a way that's really interesting. So yeah.
Oh,
Sorry, I'm nerding out about it.
No, it's good. I'm glad I was able to reveal something to you on the podcast so you can nerd out about it. By the way, so I looked them up just to go on Google really quick. One of the top questions for people search for is, how do I contact him? And I'm like, what? And then yeah, there's an answer. It's like you can fill out a booking request or call a specific number to talk about your event. So go ahead and try and Google that and see if you can get him to score your next movie or wedding or whatever you want.
I don't think any of us can afford him, but
no.
if you can, good for you.
You must have the boot. If can you fund us? That'd be great. That'd be wonderful if you could do that. But that closes out Music Room. We're gonna go ahead and move to my favorite segment, which of course is quiz time.
Ooh, let's see how this goes.
I only got 3 questions for you this week, and one of them is the obvious question. The first question is the obvious one: is Stan Lee in this movie?
I don't think so. I did not see Stan Lee. So I'm gonna go with no, but I could have very much missed it.
He is not in this movie. He is not.
Oh, thank God.
I looked very deep to make sure, like, what am I missing? What are that? No, it just sounds like he wasn't in this movie. Of course, he was going to be in the first one, but it was sadly cut, and he didn't make it in the second one and the third one. So this is a series that he sadly missed out on, and looks like he will continue to miss on because he will not be possibly in the Blade movie. However, he did not create this character, so it's okay. It was
It's fine.
under Mark Wolfman, but that's okay. Moving on. So you got the first one right, so that's good. So this is going to be part of our show and tell this week, which, by the way, last week, if you saw, we showed watching Sly watch both Alfred Molina get surprised by William Dafoe and J.K. Simmons wearing this Spider-Man outfit and jumping on his desk. This week, here's part of this question. Number 2, there is an alternate ending to this film that features the Night Stalkers to continue the hunt after all the vampires have been eradicated. So at the end of this movie, all the vampires were going to be eradicated, not just this area, which they didn't make clear at the end of this film, but it's kind of assumed with the end of this movie that Blade is still doing his thing. So yeah, that's fine. Which, by the way, I didn't even know there was a post-credits. The post-credits is Blade riding in a car. That's it. That's all it is. But the alternate ending is they start fighting monsters. What monsters do you think they're fighting? Is it A, werewolves, B, ghosts, C, zombies, D, aliens?
That's a good question. Of course, like zombies have been pretty iconic in Marvel comics as existing.
Yes.
Also, aliens are very common. I don't remember like any standout moments of werewolves or ghosts, so I'm guessing it's probably either zombies or aliens. Which one am I gonna go with?
Yeah. What's your final answer while I set up show and tell up?
That's a good question. I feel like zombies might be too on the nose, which could mean it's that or not. I'm gonna say aliens.
You're gonna say aliens?
Mm-hmm.
The answer is werewolves. The answer is
really?
they straight up are just
Not
going
even close.
No, they straight up are going for werewolves. So all right, so I'm gonna go ahead and show you the werewolf alternate ending.
Oh boy. Some nice space going. Same. Just like how he's smacking them.
Yeah.
What the hell are you doing here?
Just a little sport, honey.
I do love how it just feels opposite of everything else from the movie.
So, who do you want to hunt?
Well,
Just so casual.
Great question, my friend, and I got one for you. What do you get when you cross a vampire with a werewolf? You get a
What
fur
do you
coat that sticks to your neck.
Found it.
What is she wearing?
I don't know, but she looked like she came out of Pokemon. And that is it.
I was thinking, oh gosh, Lazy Town. That's the vibes I was getting with that.
Oh man. That's hilarious. But yeah, that is the
Am I wrong?
You're not wrong. That's why I'm laughing. And absolutely all she needed was like a squiggly mustache and then totally she's the opposite color. But she does look like also a Pokemon protagonist as well. But yes, that's 100% Lazy Town. Oh boy, oh boy. So the third question is, the first movie kind of is sort of like LA, right? Sort of like like LA town. The second movie is like world traveling, world gathering, like totally, some Eastern Europe place, right? Where do you think this movie is set?
Well, like part of the movie is in like Iraq or like the Syrian desert or whatever. And I didn't give much thought to where else it was. Oh gosh.
I may have gave it up earlier, but yeah.
I mean, yeah, it's some like port town. Oh, is it in Vancouver?
The movie just takes place in Vancouver. There's French.
All right.
There's just French signs in the background, and I'm just like, where does this take place? And I looked it up. I was like, oh, just Vancouver. It's like, all right, you filmed your movie in Vancouver, and it just takes place in Vancouver. Got it. All right, good tax break, I guess. It was not a place I was expecting Blade to be, but you know,
Right?
yeah.
What's he doing there?
Like he just wanted to hang out in Canada. That's where their base of operation is now. But yeah, I believe that what I found is that it's in Vancouver. So 2 out of 3 ain't bad, Sly. But of course, the second question was really just to trick you to not think vampires or not think werewolves. So that's really, really
Pretty much.
why that was there. Overall, we're gonna go ahead and close out, head to homeroom, and talk about our final thoughts on the film. Sly, what are your final thoughts on the film? Do you recommend this movie? Does it hold up, and how does it compare to what you're expecting for the future of Blade?
I again, I really enjoyed it. It's definitely not the best we've seen so far, but I think it holds up pretty well. And I would 100% recommend watching this. Like, I just had so much fun. Like, obviously, like Blade 1 and 2 did so much in establishing these characters and giving us this emotional connection with this story. And I mean, I don't think you're gonna enjoy this if you haven't seen the other two.
I agree.
But just in general, it was so fun. It was action packed. The music's great. Overall, just like a pleasant viewing experience.
Yeah. Overall, I'm in the similar boat. I do think that this is the weaker of the 3, but it doesn't mean that it's not something that I think is still entertaining. It's something that you can just watch and have a good time. And especially since it's on a streaming service like Peacock, where you have all 3 available to you, there's no reason not to watch this one as well, in my opinion. At least to have it in your, you know, your Blade knowledge. And overall, what do you think about this character now going into the MCU? This is the end of the Blade trilogy, the end of the standalone Blades. Where are you excited for this character to go? I know we may or may not have gotten a teased in the end of Eternals of where he might be heading, but what now excites you knowing now, learning what you now know about the character going forward?
I really like this character. I would be really interested to see what they do. Like, I'm not sure. I haven't looked into much about what they're talking about going forward. If they bring him back or if they have somebody else play him. I just want to see more from this character in general. I think it's with the direction that the MCU is going in with upcoming projects, they're going darker, they're going grittier. I think, of course, at the beginning, Blade would have no place in the MCU, but I think they're slowly trying to toe that line, especially with, say, we'll see how Moon Knight goes, but they're pushing that as really gritty, really dark, really serious. So I can see a Blade being a prominent character in the future of the MCU. I don't think we're quite there yet, but I'm really excited. I want more from him.
Yeah, me too. And I'm very excited for Mahershala Ali's take on the character. The little voice tease that we got at the end of Eternals, spoilers for Eternals. Just that little bit excites me. And I'm very curious what he has to do with that character Dane Whitman from Eternals and what their connection is going to be potentially in his movie. So that to me excites me alone. But yeah, I'm very, very much love this character. Wesley Snipes to me is always the definitive, but that doesn't mean I'm excited for new changes and new futures. So very, very excited to see what comes next. But of course, that is all of our thoughts on Blade Trinity. Again, goodbye, Blade. We're moving on to the future. We still have 1,000 more X-Men movies that we need to see.
This is our first finished series. That's so
right.
exciting.
And then next week is going to be our second one when we end our sort of extended Daredevil Elektra universe by watching 2004's Elektra. So that I've never seen it. I'm excited to totally just take it in because I had a good time with the Daredevil movie. I'm excited to see where this goes. I'm not a huge knowledgeable person on Elektra, so just take me on a ride. Let's see what this is about. And all the only knowledge I have, like I said, is the trailer, and the trailer was cool from what I remember. But then after that, because I do want to mention the fact that we're going to finally be entering another series. Of course, that is the Fantastic Four. So I finally get to talk about the Fantastic Four, which I'm the most excited about.
Nothing about Fantastic Four. I'm so excited.
Do you not know who's casting it either?
no idea.
Don't look. Just
Should
don't
I look it up?
No,
Don't look it.
Don't look.
Okay.
Try not to.
I
Just
won't
try,
look at anything.
Try not to, because if you don't know who's in the cast, it's even funnier. So that's
No idea.
so this is great.
Wait, I think I know one person.
I think
who's
you
in
would know.
Fantastic
Yeah,
Four.
I think
That's it. Yeah.
I think you would.
Okay.
Everyone probably know that one. But yeah, that of course has been our talk about Blade Trinity. We'll see you next week for Elektra, and until next time. Oh, I'm sorry. Plugs. Before I go, Sly, where can they find you?
You can find me everywhere on the internet at SlickLitMC. You can also find me on Stark Radio, on YouTube and Twitch. And you can find me at Point in Progress, where this show is home to.
That's right. Of course. There you go. You can find me at Point in Progress. You can find me at MC University. And of course, you can find me doing some cool stuff over there at Tech Raptor. I've been doing a lot of TikToks for them. I did a very successful Uncharted one that I'm still over the moon about, that had over 10,000. Yeah, keep it going there. So if you please follow me, I'd be very happy. But until next time, class is dismissed.
War alone.
Who the hell are you people?
My father meant for us to help you.
Whistler's daughter. What the hell makes you think you know about hunting vampires?
Just for starters, I used to be one.
Blade Trinity.
There's nothing stopping them now.
There's me.